Devendra Prabhudesai, the singer. If you had to dedicate one song to Sunil Gavaskar, what would it be?
या दुनियेमध्ये थांबायला वेळ कोणाला हे जीवन म्हणजे क्रिकेट राजा हुकला तो संपला.
Sachin Tendulkar.
Sachin Tendulkar would be I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. Yuvraj Singh, absolutely phenomenal story. You have a situation where there are these two youngsters who are coached by the same person, and one of them goes on to do very well, becomes an icon of the game, Kapil Dev. The other, Yuvraj Singh, falls back a bit, and then Yuvraj Singh decides that, okay, what I could not do, I'll make my son do. And his son is not interested in cricket as a kid, but Yuvraj Singh ensures that he starts playing cricket. He wakes him up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. in the North Indian winter by splashing a bucket of cold water on him and gets him to play cricket. And that boy goes on to win 3 World Cups, under 19 in 2000, T20 in 2007, and the 50 over World Cup in 2011. And just when everything, the world is at his feet, there's a cancer scare. He misses out on a year, but he makes a superb comeback. So that is another story that is, I think, waiting to be made.
Mansoor Ali Khan Pataudi.
Yes.
Can you say something?
I mean, a teenage prodigy. He broke all the schoolboy records, school cricket records in England, headed for great things. Everyone thought he's going to, have a great career for India. Unfortunately, lost an eye in an accident at the age of 20. But imagine, look at his determination. Within months, he was back and in the nets playing cricket with just one eye. And with one good eye, he scored nearly 3,000 runs in Test cricket. A great captain as well, created a team. As many of his contemporaries have said, he made them play like an Indian team. So yeah, I mean, that is a great what might have been of Indian cricket. What if Tiger Pataudi had not lost an eye? Top 5 batters, my favorites. Again, Sunil Gavaskar, Sachin Tendulkar would be right there. Rahul Dravid, they called him the Wall. I would call him the Warrior. One of the greatest match winners of all time. Viv Richards of the West Indies, my all-time favorite overseas cricketer. And when it comes to the 5th, I would probably go for Allan Border. He was a hero. Every crisis brought out the best in him. And as captain, he took Australia from being the second worst team in the world to the second best team in the world.
Your book, it covers all the fascinating characters, and I'd like our viewers to basically pick up your book to read about personalities like Chandu Bolde, Subhash Gupte, who you mention in this book, right? Mino Mankad, his role, and I'd want them to read the book. Before I move into Mumbai cricket, a favorite subject of yours and a fascinating subject for me, basically wanted you to touch upon one more great personality who you write a fantastic prose about. And you say that almost a decade before Sunil Gavaskar became this modern India's first big sports superstar, there was if an unfortunate accident had not happened, we would have seen a superstar in the 60s, probably would have helped our cricket also better. Mansoor Ali Khan Pataudi.
Yes.
Can you say something?
I mean, a teenage prodigy. He broke all the schoolboy records, school cricket records in England, headed for great things. Everyone thought he's going to, have a great career for India. Unfortunately, lost an eye in an accident at the age of 20. But imagine, look at his determination. Within months, he was back and in the nets playing cricket with just one eye. And with one good eye, he scored nearly 3,000 runs in Test cricket. This is in the pre-helmeted age. So what he would have achieved with 2 good eyes, you can only imagine. And despite that, he was a great fielder and a great captain as well, created a team. As many of his contemporaries have said, he made them play like an Indian team. So yeah, I mean, that is a great what might have been of Indian cricket. What if Tiger Pataudi had not lost an eye? And I think he's one character who deserves a biopic, in my view.
Deserves a biopic, right?
It deserves a biopic. There are so many fascinating stories about Mansoor Ali Khan Pataudi that you will need an entire episode only for him.
Excellent. So we are booked you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So for those uninitiated, he's also Saif Ali Khan's father. And if you think he's only that, then stop watching this podcast right now. But moving on to Mumbai cricket, Mumbai cricket has been blessed, right? Pre-independence, you had a pentangular. You attracted the best talent from India over here. Post-independence, pentangular stopped, but the time shield happened. A corporate tournament much before IPL, right? That too attracted talent from all across India who came and plied their trade over here.
Yes.
One of your contemporaries, Klitzen Muzzello, with the Midday, used to do this fantastic Mumbai cricket podcast. And from there, I heard from so many of these cricketers that the cricket at the time shield was of a higher level, more competitive than Ranji. That blessed Mumbai cricket, right? That blessed Mumbai cricket.
Yes. So it helped that Mumbai was the commercial capital of the country.
Yes.
So all the prominent organizations, they were all headquartered in Mumbai. And the Times of India Shield, it had several divisions and some top teams, Tata's, ACC, all the top companies had cricket teams. Then there were some companies who went out of their way to recruit cricketers, first-class cricketers, test cricketers, and create cricket teams. And we had some great rivalries in the Times of India Shield and corporate cricket in Mumbai.
Yeah.
So one legendary rivalry of the 70s and 80s was Nirlons versus Mafatlals. And the listeners would be very fascinated by what I'm going to tell you. Now imagine Sunil Gavaskar, played at the highest level for 16 years, broke all the world records. He once very famously wrote in one of his books that when I am batting and when I know that I have nicked the ball to the keeper, usually I walk without waiting for the umpire's decision. But there are two teams against whom I will never walk even if I know that I am out. The first team is Pakistan. So obviously India-Pakistan matches, a lot of needle there. So Mr. Gavaskar would never walk even if he knew that he was out. He would wait for the umpire's decision. And he was also the captain of Nirlons at a time when the Nirlon-Mafatlal rivalry in the Times of India Shield was at its peak. And he wrote in the book that the second team against whom I will never walk even if I know that I am out is Mafatlals. So you can imagine the kind of rivalry that was there between Nirlons and Mafatlals. One of the greatest cricketers of all time is saying that he would not walk even if he knows that he is out in a corporate tournament. That just speaks for itself. That was the rivalry in the corporate cricket at that time in Mumbai.
So now that we've established why Mumbai became the nerve center of Indian cricket, the history, the tournaments, I want to take you to the Ranji Trophy. Bombay and now Mumbai, almost the most successful team all across, right? The number of representation that Mumbai has, even in the national team, is fantastic. I don't know. I see it from a different perspective when we were talking offline. I thought earlier we used to have the zonal system in the Ranji Trophy. Did that create some kind of rivalries for these teams like Mumbai with, the other teams, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Saurashtra, Baroda? And are we missing that when now we are having this pan-India tournament where I feel that we should go back to the zonal tournament? Or am I misplaced in thinking that there was a rivalry? It was just that we loved that the hallowed Mumbai team, we were just in awe of that. Because I grew up in Baroda. I would always wait for this opportunity for the Mumbai team to come. It almost had that's the way I wrote myself into my first job. And those days everything was not played in stadiums. I remember even Sachin Tendulkar, being a star, came by train because those days they used to get a second AC travel. And the Mumbai lineup was Zubin Barucha, I don't know who the second opener was. One down Manjrekar, two down Tendulkar, Vinod Kamli. There was Ravi Shastri in that lineup. Salil Ankola, Paras Mamre. Everybody who played for India, Nilesh Kulkarni. And Baroda had Kiran More, Nayan Mongia was upcoming then, Jacob Martin, Connor Williams. So this is like 14, 15 guys who are playing India or India A at that point of time. Not too many people. Of course, people came to watch Sachin for a little bit, but still 10, 15,000, these were open Maidan grounds. are we missing a trick when we are not playing pan India tournaments? And was there any kind of rivalry that, or can there be a rivalry when the zonal team, if it goes back to a zonal format?
I think the rivalry was more in the opposition's minds, because as far as Mumbai were concerned, there was no rivalry. Mumbai were the most dominant domestic side by leaps, like by a wide margin. And I think that also has a lot to do with the fact that cricket in the city was organized, structured. We spoke about the pentangulars, the Times of India Shield. Then there was the Kanga League, the most competitive club tournament, I would say, in the world, because it is played in the monsoons when the bowlers have a field day. The batters learn how to fight it out in adverse conditions. So, and Mumbai cricket has this thriving school cricket structure. So that hardens the players for battle. And so Mumbai always had a head start. Initially, the Ranji Trophy had a zonal system, where the top two teams from each zone would qualify for the All India knockouts. And Mumbai was by far the most dominant side. So yes, there were some great games against Baroda, Maharashtra in the West Zone League. But more often than not, Mumbai was the dominant side. Today, what we are seeing is that the other teams are also doing well, again because of the great work done by the BCCI and its affiliated units over the decades in terms of promoting and developing the game of cricket. And it's great for Indian cricket. You have Jammu and Kashmir in the Ranji Trophy final, absolutely phenomenal. So it is just that things have changed in the sense that there are many more teams doing very well because of the professionalism that has spread all across. But Mumbai is still a force. Even today, the infrastructure in Mumbai and the quality of the cricketers is exceptional. And although Mumbai lost in the quarterfinal this season to Karnataka, I think it's only a matter of time before Mumbai returns to winning ways.
There is a following also, right? I don't know of too many other states, and I may be wrong, whether there is that heartburn if the team loses out at the quarterfinal stage or at an earlier stage.
Absolutely, there is heartburn.
Mumbai, there is
heartburn.
It will be in the newspapers if Bombay falters, one of their batsmen falters,
because cricket has been part of the psyche of the city right from the very beginning, from the pentangular days. So it is there have been many cricketers from outside the city who have often said that they haven't seen this passion elsewhere. A couple of years ago, when Mumbai played Vidarbha in the Ranji Trophy final at the Wankhede Stadium, some people from out of Mumbai were flabbergasted to see Sunil Gavaskar, Sachin Tendulkar, Rohit Sharma in the stands. They had come to watch the match. And they said you won't see this anywhere else in the country. Probably Karnataka you might, but elsewhere, the support that the former cricketers give, the encouragement that they give, you won't see it anywhere else. And the Mumbai Cricket Association also has been very proactive in that regard. There is a cricket improvement committee that the MCA has, which is which consists of only cricketers. So the administrators have made it very clear that cricketing matters will be handled by the cricketers. We will take care of the administrative things, and that synergy between the administrators and cricketers has worked wonders for Mumbai cricket. But yes, cricket is very dear to the city. I mean, one of the most memorable stories of Mumbai cricket, what they call the greatest Ranji Trophy final of all time. It was played between Mumbai and Haryana in May 1991 at the Wankhede Stadium. And Mumbai needed 355 to win, lost by 2 runs. And Dilip Vengsarkar, who was 136 not out, he wept like a baby at the end of that game. And again, people were like, why is he crying after losing a domestic match? But a non-Mumbaikar will not understand what the game of cricket means to the Mumbaikar. So when Vengsarkar wept after that game, the whole city wept with him.
True. And Mumbai cricket has also taken care of its cricketers, right? If you read Sanjay Manjrekar's fantastic autobiography, he also has only praise for Mumbai cricket. I was hearing Dilip Vengsarkar. We don't see him too often in the media circles. I saw him on a podcast recently. Very refreshing to see his take. He also had only praise for Mumbai cricket.
Yeah, because all these former illustrious names, they have all been involved in administration at certain points. They have been selectors. They have gone out of their way to encourage young cricketers. And imagine as a youngster, if Dilip Vengsarkar, 116 test matches, the only non-Englishman to score 3 test centuries at Lords. He is the vice president of the Mumbai Cricket Association, and he is kind of grooming and mentoring you. What more do you want? When Sachin Tendulkar comes to see a domestic game, a Ranji Trophy final, and he makes his way into the dressing room, and he talks to the current team. Imagine the impact that has on young cricketers. I'm sure it happens elsewhere as well, but it has been happening in Mumbai for decades. And that when senior cricketers are completely hands on, they will always give you advice when you ask for it. Then that percolates down, and that is why the cricketers are a confident lot, because they know they can approach some of the biggest names in the game if they have any issues, and those big names will always help them.
Interesting. I'm a sports management professional. It's my job to look out for opportunities where products can be created in domestic cricket, which can be commercially exploited, which have potential to become the next big commercial thing in domestic Indian cricket after the IPL. Maybe not as big, but commercially successful ones. Uh, I want to know about the legacy clubs of Mumbai, right? The names that come to my mind, and you can correct me if I'm wrong: CCI, Dadar Union. They play the club cricket.
Shivaji Park Gymkhana.
Shivaji Park Gymkhana.
Parsi cyclists.
Do they still exist?
Yes, absolutely.
You need 11 players, right?
Yeah, they do.
You get 11 Parsis, you can
Yes.
cricket.
No, but it's not that the Parsi cyclist league comprises only Parsis.
Right.
But these are some of the legacy clubs over the years and decades. Sundar Cricket Club, Karnataka.
Sundar, yes.
Yeah.
Sundar, I've heard, with Clayton started his career as a scorer there, right?
Yes. He was the manager as well over there, yeah.
So, Delhi has a few. Sonet, probably, Roshan Hara. Calcutta has Mohan Bagan. Karnataka, Bangalore Club in Bangalore. I'm sure Bangalore has more. Chennai has to certainly. Tamil Nadu certainly.
Yes.
Or Chennai has to have some legacy. Hyderabad has to have some legacy too. Can a pan-India tournament between these clubs, so that these clubs also see a reinvigoration happen, and is it possible?
I think the cricket calendar is so packed that I don't think there is any room for anything like that. I think all the associations, all the cities that you mentioned, there is a lot of cricket happening there already. At the national level, you have the Ranji Trophy and several other domestic competitions. You have the IPL. Now, the state associations of the members of the BCCI, they have their own T20 leagues, most of them. So I don't think there is any room for any such tournament. Because you will have to have multi-day matches. Now, where do you get that window to have multiple multi-day matches between so many clubs? So I don't think it would be possible to have something
in the
like
calendar.
Yeah. The calendar is too packed.
Well, before I move on to my next section, there's news of, IPL is a commerce product. There are investors, the franchisees. They've bought teams. People may be looking at monetizing, their investments. So there will be sales of teams. Franchises may change hands. We are hearing news about two teams are in the news: RCB and Rajasthan Royals. I was wondering, Mumbai has one team in Mumbai Indians. I know the rule doesn't permit, but rules are there to be changed. That is what is reforms. Mumbai as a market has the potential for another team. Your take on that?
I don't think that is practically possible, because the franchisee that owns Mumbai, the Mumbai franchisee, the owners, I don't think they would be very amenable and open to the idea of having a competitor right in their backyard. So that's not realistic as per me.
Doesn't the market potential of Bombay allow for, or Mumbai allow for two teams, or say a Navi Mumbai team?
I think it's geographically, it's an impossibility. The rules also don't allow. So I don't think that will happen.
To see the rules changed, and would you see?
I think what we have in the IPL, 10 teams currently, that's more than enough.
It will be the 10 teams. I understand the commerce of it and why it has to be 10 teams. But the second team in Mumbai, if say Rajasthan Royals sells them,
there'll be loyalty issues, because obviously you want to capture the target audience in that particular city. There would be serious issues and I don't think any of the franchises will agree to, their own backyard, having a competitor in their own backyard.
Fair enough. Let me take you to the next section. It's a little bit of a rapid fire. You've worked in sports administration for such a long time. You worked with the Apex body. If you had to name 5 top cricket personalities, including administrators, cricketers, who would this be? Who've influenced Indian cricket?
So cricketers and cricket administrators?
Cricket administrators both. Just a cricket personality, If you had to name five who've defined Indian cricket,
So I think you begin with Sunil Gavaskar. Again, as I said, Sunil Gavaskar BC and Sunil Gavaskar AD. That's how the history of Indian cricket can be divided. Then there is Kapil Dev, the revolutionary, changed the emphasis from spin to pace, and an incredible cricketer, did so many remarkable things. We won the World Cup for the first time under his captaincy. And he inspired so many youngsters to bowl quick. That is his greatest legacy. And then, of course, Sachin Tendulkar. Sachin Tendulkar, I am very, very possessive about him because I belong to Sachin's generation. So my generation is the one that vividly remembers the entirety of Sachin's international career, because I was 13 years old when he first played for India, and he went on to play for 24 years. So I remember every single moment of his international career. Absolute phenomenon. So Sachin, for sure. And two administrators I would like to particularly name: Professor Ratnakar Shetty, whom I also was privileged to work under. An outstanding administrator, ran the BCCI brilliantly. And then, of course, Sharad Pawar Sahib. First and foremost, he gave the BCCI a permanent office when he became the BCCI president in 2005. Also headed the ICC, also headed the Mumbai Cricket Association. Responsible for the rebuilding of the Wankhede Stadium, created a state-of-the-art cricket stadium in Mumbai, which hosted the final of the 2011 World Cup. And I had the fortune of working for the BCCI when he was the president. Pawar Sahib, and did a lot of things for former cricketers as well. Increased the subsidies that were given by the BCCI to its affiliated associations, and encouraged them to spend that money on building state-of-the-art academies, good stadia, and a lot of the good things, as I mentioned earlier, that you're seeing in Indian cricket today started when Pawar Sahib was the president of the BCCI. So these are the five people I'll name: 3 cricketers and 2 administrators.
you come from Mumbai, you have to love the Mumbai batsmanship. Your top 3 batsmen of all times, and it could be foreign players too.
You mean Mumbaikars or foreigners?
All across the world. As a Mumbaikar, I mean to say that batting is something all of you love, right? The first thing you ask a Mumbaikar, even if he's not played cricket, you ask him what he's done. Oh, I played cricket, and then he'll say I was an opening batsman.
Yeah. So I can speak for myself, obviously. Yeah. So top 5 batters that my favorites. Again, Sunil Gavaskar, Sachin Tendulkar would be right there. Rahul Dravid, they called him the Wall. I would call him the Warrior. One of the greatest match winners of all time. Viv Richards of the West Indies, my all-time favorite overseas cricketer. And when it comes to the 5th, I would probably go for Allan Border, because like Allan Border, I am left-handed, so he was a hero. Every crisis brought out the best in him. And as captain, he took Australia from being the second worst team in the world to the second best team in the world. True. An absolutely phenomenal leader of men, and as a batter, always at his best in a crisis. So yeah, that would be my top 5: Gavaskar, Tendulkar, Dravid, Viv Richards, Allan Border. Heartbreaking to leave VVS Lakshman out. I have a major I'm big fan of VVS Lakshman, another player who was always at his best in a crisis situation. So yeah, that would be my top 5. Lakshman just about Allan Border edges past him because Allan Border was left-handed like I am.
Very interesting. Very interesting. You run an interesting show on Radio Nasha called Baat Us Saal Ki. You narrated some fascinating moments of Indian cricket, world cricket, also films. Your top 3 cricketing moments from whatever you viewed or what you've read about, because our generation has also read a lot of our memory for cricket is also something that we've read. So your top 3 cricketing moments.
I will go with 3 moments of the new millennium, because there were many in the 20th century as well, like 1983, for example. Yes. But I was very young then, although my memories are there, but I'll stick to the new millennium. So 2021, defeating Australia in Australia with a C team. Okay. Absolutely brilliant. The entire first choice bowling lineup was injured. 2 guys who were part of the team as net bowlers, they ended up playing the last test at Brisbane, and Rishabh Pant's innings, Cheteshwar Pujara's defiance, Mohammad Siraj and Shardul Thakur's bowling, and that partnership between Shardul Thakur and Washington Sundar, absolutely brilliant. So 2021 Australia, then 2001 defeating Australia at home. After 16 consecutive test wins, we stopped them in Kolkata. Lakshman and Dravid's legendary partnership. Lakshman scored 281. And number one would have to be the 2011 World Cup victory, because I had the opportunity of working on that World Cup. I was working for the BCCI then, and I was given an additional assignment as the media manager ICC India for the duration of that tournament. So I witnessed all the big games of that tournament. So I was in the Wankhede Stadium when the match was played. I saw Dhoni hitting that six. And that was the icing on the cake. I got to work on a World Cup and India ended up winning that World Cup. So yeah, 2021, 2001 and 2011, all once.
That was special, right? Because it was also the first time a host nation won a tournament.
Host nation winning a World Cup on its own soil. Because technically, 1996 Sri Lanka was one of the co-hosts of the World Cup, but they won the final in Lahore. But 2011, yes, the first time a host nation won the final on its own soil.
So I'm putting pressure on my editor who's in the audience here today. He has a lot of work to do. I don't know whether this episode will drop, when this T20 World Cup, ongoing T20 World Cup gets over. I want to know what we did in 2011, the jinx of a host nation winning a T20 World Cup. Will India be able to do?
Yeah, but 2011 was the 50 overs World Cup.
But the same thing, the jinx continues with the T20 World Cup also. No host has won it.
Absolutely, yeah. I think
the favorites are India, and if anybody can do it, they showed it how it's done in 2011.
Yes,
Your prophecy?
I think we should win the 2026 T20 World Cup the way we are playing and the way our team is structured with this batting lineup.
And Australia is out.
But yeah, I think we have a very strong batting lineup, a very good bowling lineup. Yes. And anything less than a victory will be a failure in my view. We should be winning this.
That's the standards Indian cricket has set for itself, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Devendra, I also know that you are a film buff also, right? That's about Bombay. They say that in Mumbai, if you want to set up a media business, we worked in media houses. If you want to crack Mumbai or Bombay, it was known then you have to do the BBC, Bollywood Business and Cricket. Correct? I think, and I don't take it only in a lighter sense, because I think films are a great medium to propagate a sport or a story about a sport and to take a sport forward, right? We've made some good biography films in India. You've just mentioned about Mansoor Ali Khan Pataudi, a great film there. Potential.
Waiting to be made.
Tell us more stories, which you think, at least 3 stories that you think should be made.
I think another name that comes to mind is Yuvraj Singh. Absolutely phenomenal story. You have a situation where there are these 2 youngsters who are coached by the same person, and one of them goes on to do very well, becomes an icon of the game, Kapil Dev. The other, Yuvraj Singh, falls back a bit, and then Yuvraj Singh decides that, okay, what I could not do, I'll make my son do. And his son is not interested in cricket as a kid, but Yuvraj Singh ensures that he starts playing cricket. He wakes him up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. in the North Indian winter by splashing a bucket of cold water on him and gets him to play cricket. And that boy goes on to win 3 World Cups. A reluctant cricketer going on to win 3 World Cups for India. Under 19 in 2000, T20 in 2007 and the 50 over World Cup in 2011. And just when everything, the world is at his feet, there's a cancer scare. He misses out on a year, but he makes a superb comeback. So that is another story that is, I think, waiting to be made. I would love to be associated with a project which shows the dynamics between Sunil Gavaskar and Kapil Dev. In fact, I am also a qualified trained screenwriter, and I would love to, at some point, write something which depicts the days of Indian cricket when the captaincy was constantly alternating between these 2 characters, Sunil Gavaskar and Kapil Dev. And somehow, although the captaincy was changing hands every few months, it worked for Indian cricket because under Kapil Dev, you won the 83 World Cup, and under Sunil Gavaskar, you won the World Championship of Cricket in Australia in 1985. So somehow it worked, although the experts will tell you that you should have continuity, stability at the top. But this was a rare occasion where there was, you can't say there was stability because every season the captain was changing, but we ended up winning world titles. So that's another subject that comes to mind. And then, of course, Tiger Pataudi. I mean, you imagine there is this 5-year-old kid on his 5th birthday. He gets the news that his father has died of a heart attack while playing polo on his birthday, the kid's birthday. So the kid never celebrates his birthday in his entire life. He goes to England, breaks all the records in school cricket, but then has this eye injury, loses an eye, but comes back. Then leads India to some phenomenal victories, plays some great innings with one eye, and at one juncture in Australia when he is also having an injured leg, he bats literally with one eye and one leg and scores 250s against the Australians. So a great conqueror of adversity. And then just as he is creating this particular nucleus of a cricket team, he completes a decade at as captain, and then the chairman of selectors says that we have not really been doing well as a team, and and Tiger Pataudi, well, as captain, he wants certain senior players in the team, but the chairman of selectors and the selection committee say no, we want to experiment with youngsters, and Tiger Pataudi as captain does not get the players he wants in the team. And as it turns out, the selection committee goes on to remove Tiger Pataudi as the captain of India and replace him with Ajit Wadekar. But what happens is all the players that Tiger Pataudi has wanted in the team, the senior players, Ajit Wadekar gets them when he asks for them. And then, of course, we do very well under the new captain for a couple of years. Tiger Pataudi is seemingly forgotten. And then suddenly we go to England in 1974 and we lose that series very badly. And the selectors and the board is, in a ferment what to do, because the team is completely demoralized after losing very badly in England in 74. What do we do? Who do we make captain? And they contact the same guy whom they have kind of forgotten, Tiger Pataudi. And they say, we would like to make you to return to the team as captain, and we will give you 2 test matches as captain of the forthcoming series against the West Indies. Tiger Pataudi says, no, it will be 5 tests or none. You decide. And they say, okay, 5 tests. He returns as captain of India. India loses the first 2 tests, but then wins the 3rd and 4th tests under Tiger Pataudi, squares the series. Ultimately, we lose the series. But this is a remarkable story, which I think merits a biopic. And if anyone scripts this, I would like to claim royalty because I've just given the plot away on your podcast.
Yes. I will. I'm sure this podcast discovers a new side too. We didn't know about your script writing skills and that you're qualified as a script writer.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Casting is a very important aspect of this. Who would you cast as Tiger Pataudi?
I think his grandson, Ibrahim Ali Khan Pataudi, he's trying to make it big as an actor. So why not his own grandson?
Interesting.
So Ibrahim can play the younger Pataudi and Saif can play the older one. Yes. Yes.
That's interesting. We'll allow our viewers also to send their comments for this. Sunil Gavaskar, Kapil Dev, who plays them?
That's a little difficult because
of Bhasin was very good at
because of Tahir Bhasin and Ranveer Singh, somehow it's a little difficult to visualize somebody else in those roles because they did such a phenomenal job in the film. So yeah, I'll have to apply my brains as to who can play. Maybe Tahir Bhasin and Ranveer Singh all over again. Yeah.
Or
just as a kind of a sequel.
By the time we do the next podcast, you'll probably come with a fresher cast also.
Maybe, yes. Give me some time.
So at least you're promising us up another
Yes,
one.
yes, absolutely.
Thank you. And Yuvraj Singh?
Yuvraj Singh, one of the new guys on kids of the block. Again, I think Ibrahim Ali Khan Pataudi, he has those looks. I mean,
but we'll have to find
now that you're looking at now that you've asked me and I'm thinking, I mean, it would be a coup, if Abhishek Sharma plays Yuvraj Singh. Yuvraj's own, prodigy. Yuvraj Singh is his mentor,
isn't it? Like you thought he was carefree cricketer, had the talent, then was not full potential. MS Dhoni you saw the other way, but MS Dhoni is not that involved with junior cricket or cricket, and rightfully so, everyone for their own. But Yuvraj Singh is today influential for some of the biggest batsmen that Indian cricket has.
Absolutely. So it as you said, it's a subjective thing. He obviously wants to give something back to the game. What Dhoni is doing, Dhoni is perfectly entitled to do what he wants. So it's only great for Indian cricket that somebody
is like that.
The
perception is like this guy was like a little casual about things. The other one is about all grit and determination. But just see the
but Dhoni is a classic case of appearances being deceptive. He was as committed and as passionate about the game as anybody else.
No, but post game, means you would not, the perception that you had about Yuvraj, you would not think that he's going to play a defining role in terms of being a mentor. And many years back, I also read this about the IPL, right? The Preeti Zinta team, Kings 11, had a very resurgent year when Akshar Patel was there. They were in the finals, they lost to KKR. And I heard an interview by Preeti Zinta saying that it's basically Yuvraj who advised her to get Sanjay Bangar as the coach. Which shows that he's got a strong cricketing acumen over there.
Absolutely, yeah. He always had a good cricketing brain. You cannot win 3 World Cups and be the player of the tournament in all 3 of those without having that cricketing acumen. And it is great that he's giving something back to the game.
Running between the wickets. It's a definitive piece on the history of Indian cricket, right? I like the way you narrate your stories. The first thing that that struck me in one of your early chapters is you take the Gabba 1979 India-Australia.
77.
77, is it? Okay,
yeah.
I correct myself. 77. And then you compare it to 2021. 77, the Packer series happened. Our fans would know that Packer series was something that was a rebel league created in Australia. It created a turmoil with most major stars of most major countries had joined the Packers series. That depleted the national sides, except for Jeff Thompson. There was no other star in that Australian side. Who had to play because of some contracts, and they had to get Bob Simpson. India was pipped to win, should have won, but you're right that they narrowly lost. But the same thing, 2021, against all odds, what was considered to be the citadel of Australian cricket. They had not lost there since, I think, almost 2 decades, if I'm...
32 years.
32 years, they had not lost. What does that tell you about Indian cricket? The transition. And is this the progress that Indian cricket has made over the years? Does this tell you how healthy Indian cricket is?
Yes, absolutely. So I'll tell you about running between the wickets. After writing biographies of Rahul Dravid, Sunil Gavaskar and Sachin Tendulkar, the 3 giants of Indian cricket, I wrote a few books on the World Cups as well. I assisted Professor Shetty on his book on his innings in the BCCI. The publishers and we were thinking, what can we do? And I always wanted to write a history of Indian cricket, but I was mindful of the fact that the current generation is not very enamored of history. The word history scares them a little bit. So it was always on my mind to write a book which would be a history without it seeming like a history. So make things very crisp and try and keep it very, keep it fast-paced, almost like an action thriller. Since I am a big film buff, I had that model in mind.
It almost
quick cuts, going from one event to the other.
Screenplay,
Yes, that was very.
And this is not the only chapter. I'll take this further. But sorry.
Yeah. Yes. So that was very much on my mind. And then when I started, and the publishers agreed for this, they said that yes, there have been many histories of Indian cricket written, but yes, they have been exhaustive. So let's try and do something very crisp. So when I started doing my research, I realized that if you divide the 90 odd years, I started working on this book sometime in 2022. So that time it was 90 years since we played our first test match in 1932. So I realized that if you divide those 90 years in 2 halves, you realize that many events that happened in the first half had some very striking parallels in the second half. Many cases of history repeating itself. So what you mentioned, the GABA test match of 1977 and the GABA test match of 2021, striking parallel.
Right.
1977, an Australia C team beat the full strength Indian team. But in 2021, an India C team beat the full strength Australian team.
Yes.
And if you look at controversy or turmoil, 1977, the cricketing world was split wide open because of Kerry Packer. 2021, the world was grappling with the catastrophic COVID pandemic. So I drew these parallels, and there were many such incidents that I discovered. So I thought that this is a very interesting hook where you talk about things that happened in the first half, which had very striking parallels in the second half. And I had a lot of fun while writing this book. I came face to face with many characters. Thank you.
Because it just adds to the story, right? It's just not a vanilla reporting of a match. And when you juxtapose two situations, it tells you so much about Indian cricket. Who else can look at some of our contemporary rivals, right? The West Indies, can they talk about something of what they achieved in the 70s and the 80s now? Can Australia talk about something? They can't, right?
Australia could probably, because they have been steadily
not
consistent.
The ICC, but it's not the progression. The dominance that they had in the early 2000s, it's not that.
It's not that. Yeah.
Pakistan is a sorry figure. If you put geopolitics out, it's a team that had a lot of talent, flair, and
absolutely
look at the cricket at that point of time and look at the cricket now. And then you feel so fortunate that we are born in India and the sport has progressed so much. That exemplifies the fact that Indian cricket is just growing by leaps and bounds.
Absolutely. There's a clear-cut parallel between the evolution of Indian cricket and the evolution of India as a country.
Yes.
So, you start with a cluster of a British colony, basically, with some princely states and, thrown in. And today it is the world's largest parliamentary democracy. And on the other hand, the game of cricket, how first the Rajas and Maharajas were the patrons. Today, you also have patrons, but they are politicians, industrialists, and now the owners of IPL teams, film stars. So the more things have changed, the more they have stayed the same in many ways.
Your in-depth study, based on what you say, I want to ask you this question, right? You mentioned this, and it opened my eyes. I always thought Ranjit Singh ji and Dilip Singh ji played for England, and I thought they never had any time for Indian cricket. But what I today learn from your book is they played critical roles as selectors, etc. But
yes.
but that fascinating thing that you write is 1932, when the first Indian team traveled to Britain, and then you had Nisar Khan,
Mohammad
Nisar, sorry, and Amar Singh opening the bowling, C.K. Naidu, the dashing opener. You compare him to Sachin Tendulkar. He made, like when he batted, the wicket looked different.
Yes.
Something which Sachin did in the 90s, right? That fascinating parallel. But you tell a story about two of the foremost cricketers having not played for India. If they had played, probably that first test match could have had a different result.
Yes.
Dilip Singh ji and
Pataudi Senior. Iftikhar Ali Khan Pataudi.
Yes. Please tell us about it.
Yeah, so both Iftikhar Ali Khan Pataudi and Dilip Singh ji had played all their cricket in England, and they were outstanding cricketers apart from being princes.
Yes.
They were outstanding cricketers.
Cricketers who played for England.
So when the planning for the 1932 tour of England started, the logical choice to lead that team would have been either of those two, because they were excellent cricketers themselves. And had that happened, we would not have had a situation where we in India people were so obsessed with the monarchy, the princes, that the Maharaja of Porbandar, who was not at all a cricketer, he was still made the captain of the team, because it was believed that only a prince can keep this disparate folk together, because only a prince can control the commoners. So you had a very odd situation where the so-called commoners were outstanding cricketers, the best cricketers from the subcontinent, but the captain was a prince, not a cricketer at all, but still only princes could handle the commoners. But had these two princes been available for India, Iftikhar Ali Khan Pataudi or Dilip Singh ji or both, then either of them would have been the captain, and the commoners also would not have minded the fact that
Yes.
they would have said, okay, fine, we are being led by people who are excellent cricketers. And I think we would have done very well, because in the absence of Pataudi and Dilip Vengsarkar, we still had England struggling at 19 for 3 on the first day of the inaugural test match. But we struggled with the bat. Now, had these two batters been part of the Indian team, they knew English conditions like the back of their hand. Who knows, we would have piled up a big score and put pressure on England in the second innings, and we had a very good pair of new ball bowlers, Mohammad Nisar and Amar Singh. You never know what could have happened in the first test match. And there are many such what might have beens that I have covered in this book.
1936, two big stars of Indian cricket emerged.
Yes.
That you write about.
Yes.
Syed Mushtaq Ali, Vijay Merchant, debutants, probably, or
they were not debutants. They had played against England at home in 33-34, but they matured, flowered as, but you can call them newcomers. They were newcomers to the team.
And then your great flair of writing and juxtaposing, you take it to 1996 when
that's
stars.
I mean, imagine the coincidence. 2 tours of England, 60 years apart. 1936, 2 young cricketers mature in England. Syed Mushtaq Ali and Vijay Merchant.
Yes.
And before the test series begins, Lala Amarnath, the most talented cricketer in the team, is sent back home on disciplinary grounds. Yes. And exactly 60 years later, now what are the odds on something like this happening? Yes. 60 years later, the situation in a way repeats itself. Just the difference being that Navjot Singh Sidhu, the senior most member of the 1996 team, he returns home in a huff due to some disagreement in the dressing room. Okay. But and then there are 2 youngsters who prove themselves on that tour of England, Saurav Ganguly and Rahul Dravid, future India captains. So clear-cut parallel that you can draw between 1936 and 1996. Fantastic. I mean, it's all there. Someone just had to notice it.
Yeah, but fantastic. That's the first time I read it. But as I told you, Dilip Vengsarkar, Ranji Singh, they played a role as selectors.
Yes, Ranji, it is often said that Ranji was not interested in Indian cricket. People have often even criticized the BCCI for naming the premier domestic competition after him. But the fact of the matter is that he did try his best to get an Australian team to tour India in the early 30s when the BCCI was struggling to, with India's debut series. Ranjit Singh tried his best to get Australia to tour India, but that didn't materialize. And when the time came to pick the Indian team for the tour of England in 1932, where we played our first test, Ranjit Singh was heading the selection committee, and Amar Singh's selection was primarily because of Ranjit Singh. Because Amar Singh was Ranjit Singh's subject at Navanagar. He was part of his kingdom, and Ranji had admired his talent. And Amar Singh went on to do so well on that tour. So Ranji did play his part in the early years of Indian cricket.
I've read this story. I don't know about Syed Mushtaq Ali or somewhere, or it's just an anecdote that one comes across, that he was good at hockey and cricket both. He was to play both a cricket match and a hockey match, landed at a railway station. But nobody from the Hockey Association came and picked him up. But there was a princely car that came and picked him up, and he knew which sport to play. Why I raise this is because you write a fascinating line in your book that Indian cricketers have always been taken care of, and the custodians have just changed, but they've been taken care of. If today you see all these IPL teams spending riches behind our cricketers, and rightly deserved. So, great sporting personalities deserve it. But it also happened all those years back. Only those custodians were not the IPL owners. They were the sprints.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? And they had a very critical role in the formative years of what we today call the BCCI or Indian cricket.
Yes, absolutely. The princes were at the forefront. Yeah. And this is again a classic example of the more the things change, the more they remain the same.
Yes.
The patrons have changed. Yes. But the cricketers were looked after then, and they are looked after even today.
That tells you, because sport is aspirational, right? So, and if the cream of the society basically supports a particular sport or indulges in a particular sport, naturally that sport will be aspirational and will be looked after.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what makes cricket a premier sport in this nation.
I worked in the BCCI, so I know the way the game has been run has been absolutely sensational. Now you have to look at the last 10 years of the Ranji Trophy. Who have won the Ranji Trophy?
Yes.
You have Gujarat, Vidarbha, Saurashtra, Madhya Pradesh. Now Jammu and Kashmir has qualified for the Ranji Trophy final.
Right.
Absolutely amazing. And the BCCI and its affiliated units deserve all the credit for making cricket a truly national sport. Till the end of the 20th century, if you looked at the composition of Indian teams, the national teams, cricket was primarily an urban game. And if you looked at the national teams, yes, there were 3 or 4 players from Mumbai, 2 or 3 from Bangalore, 1 or 2 from Delhi, 1 from Hyderabad, and so on. But post 2000, you have cricketers coming from all over the country, the so-called interiors, the so-called cricketing backwaters. I mean, had someone told me in 1999 that 8 years later, a cricketer from this place called Ranchi is going to lead India to victory in a World Cup. And he's not going to stop there. He's going to lead the country to victory in another World Cup 4 years after that. I would never have believed it, honestly. But that's what has happened. You look at all the cricketers that have been coming up. The IPL, whose creation is the IPL? The BCCI. So I think it's a testimony to the fantastic work that the BCCI has done.
When we talk about Indian cricket history, great star, superstar. First, Colonel C.K. Naidu, an attacking batsman. And you write this fascinating thing of how Indian cricket and the kind of cricket that we played from our independence to at least 79 till we found Kapil Dev, right? And why? Because of them. The two Vijays. Can you tell us something more about them?
Yeah, so, when India became a test playing nation, the focus was on attacking batting. And then there was a change a few years later where you had Vijay Hazare and Vijay Merchant who would grind the opposition down. They would bat and bat and bat and bat and just, wear the bowlers down and score loads and loads of runs. Double centuries, triple centuries. So what our strengths were in the early years, which was attacking batters and fast bowlers. I think at some point in the 1940s, the fast bowlers realized that, there's no point bowling in the heat and humidity to these two guys who were just batting and batting and batting. And gradually, the focus of the bowling attack shifted from pace to spin. And we also had some great spin bowlers coming about at that point of time. There was Vinu Mankad, there was C.S. Naidu, C.K. Naidu's younger brother. And then in the late 40s, early 50s, you had Subhash Gupte, Ghulam Ahmed, who changed the focus of our bowling attack from pace to spin. And that stayed that way till the late 70s. And in the late 70s, of course, we got this phenomenon called Kapil Dev Nikhanj.
And then that changed. But such a dominant period of Indian cricket, that spin cricket, because of these two Vijays and the way they batted. And we hear Gavaskar say it so many times, right? Give the first hour to the bowler and then the rest of the...
So that was pioneered in India by the two Vijays.
The two Vijays.
Yes.
How were they as personalities? Merchant and Hazare.
Very, very quiet introverts would let their batting do the talking for them. Very meticulous with their preparations. There are a lot of parallels that you can draw between Vijay Merchant and Sunil Gavaskar, both openers, both from Mumbai. And, again, great believers in giving the first hour to the bowlers and taking the next 5. If you bowled Vijay Merchant 5 good balls, he would block all 5. If you bowl him 5 bad balls, he'll hit all 5 for 4. So very, very similar, Vijay Merchant and Sunil Gavaskar.
Fascinating. If Mumbai is the nerve center, yes, now cricket is spread across India. We can't make it, but still it's the nerve center of Indian cricket. Even today, present day, the Indian team is represented very, very well by Mumbai. So maybe the Ranji Trophy is not as dominant as this thing, but that's because most of these boys are not even because they can't be part of the Mumbai Ranji team as often as possible, right? We can also make that out from the stats of how many number of Ranji matches Sachin has played to Sunil Gavaskar. And it's not that Sachin was not committed to Mumbai cricket, but just international cricket calendar is so much more bigger. What I wanted to ask you was the fascinating subject of the pentangular, right? And the first time I got fascinated by this was I was studying sports management in Australia. While studying my sports management program in Australia, I had a professor who was a rugby league consultant. And when he was a public rugby league consultant, he used to go to England and used to help marketing of these small minor league rugby league teams in northern England. And I said, how do you do that? Because, in cricket, whatever we've seen is top down heavy, right? The money comes from top and trickles down.
Yeah.
So I said, for a small team, how do you do that? And he said, every team is basically the main patron for the team is the local pub in the village. And what happens is when the local pub supports the team, so that means every evening it is a cultural thing to attend the pub. And I thought, if I have to juxtapose it to India, what is it? Then probably it's religion, and our religious places probably that can, support sport at a grassroots level or something like that. And that's when I read about the pentangular. I don't think too many people know about it. My team did not know. Some journalists also don't know that what is the pentangular. The pentangular, would you like to tell what the pentangular was? What were the teams? And Mahatma Gandhi's objection to it as we emerged towards our independence.
Yeah, so one of the reasons Mumbai has always been a dominant force in cricket is Mumbai had a head start over other parts of the country. Mumbai being the gateway to the empire, the primary port, there was a substantial British population in the city, and they played cricket. The local population saw it, they liked it, and they took to cricket. That is why Mumbai, as I said, had a head start, and the local population, the civilian population, started playing cricket a lot earlier than maybe other parts of the country. Now, it so happened that in the Parsi community, the most affluent Indian community of the time, they sent two teams to England in 1886 and 1888 respectively, and they played a few matches there. And they did well on the second tour, especially in 1888. And that prompted the British based in Mumbai to say in 1892 that we will play one match every year against the Parsis in Mumbai. So that was called the annual presidency match. 1892 it began. Europeans versus the Parsis. So this went on for a few years. Then in 1907, the Hindus went along with that template and they created their own team and they joined. So it became a triangular. Europeans, Parsis, Hindus. Then 5 years later, the Muslims joined. So it became a quadrangular. Europeans, Parsis, Hindus, Muslims. And then finally in 1937, all the communities that had got missed out till then, so the Anglo-Indians, the Christians, the Jews, they created a team called the Rest. And that became the annual Bombay Pentangular, which was played every year in Bombay, now Mumbai. Of course, initially it was played at the Bombay Gymkhana, which is at the southern tip of Azad Maidan. When the Brabant Stadium was built in 1937, the Pentangular shifted to the Brabant Stadium. So you had a situation where the top cricketers, not only from Mumbai, but from across the Indian subcontinent, would come to Mumbai to play for their respective communities in this annual Pentangular. And far from being a divisive thing, it actually brought people together. People would watch the matches. There were even stories that there were some Hindu-Muslim riots in Mumbai and they stopped the moment the Pentangular matches began because the rioting people just put down the stones and everything and went to the ground to watch the cricket. So that is how the Pentangular was. It started off as a presidency game between two teams, then became a triangular, then a quadrangular, then a pentangular. From 1892 to 1945, the Pentangular was, from presidency to pentangular, it was played and very, very popular. And yes, there was a view with independence approaching that maybe communal cricket is not a very good idea. So might as well, do away with it.
You also write that the Hindus did not participate.
Yes, so there were issues, the Quit India movement, it was a time of political turmoil. So finally in 1945, they decided to do away with it. And by that time, the Ranji Trophy was already a decade old. In fact, in the very early years of the Ranji Trophy was an all-India competition, but the Pentangular was still more popular than the Ranji Trophy. So because the Pentangular was finally abolished, stopped in 1945, then the Ranji Trophy was able to really assert itself and become the top domestic competition in the land. But till 1945, it was the Pentangular that was considered the number one domestic tournament. Cricketers from all over the country would come to Mumbai to play for their respective communities.
That's where the big rival, they were not rivals as such, but the big two stars, Vijay the two Vijay.
Yes, so Vijay Merchant played for the Hindus, Vijay Hazare played for the rest, being Christian. So yeah, they had some fabulous batting contests. One guy would score 200, the other would score 250, then the other guy would score 300, and it went on and on.
But great camaraderie also, right? You write in your book about Syed Mushtaq Ali and Vijay Merchant basically captaining the teams, and there was an issue with the pitch.
Yes.
And Vijay Merchant said it needs relaying of the pitch, and the association actually said that we'll have to ask the opposing captain.
Yes.
And Syed Mushtaq Ali says that if Vijay's asked for it, then it has to be.
Yeah, there was great camaraderie between them, and they were, of course, opening partners for India. They had created history on the 1936 tour of England, adding 203 in a test match. So they were, very thick with each other. They respected each other. So there were never any ugly, untoward incidents on the field of play during the Pentangulars.
It was more of a community kind of thing, right? Rather than it being communal. It's like
absolutely. There was nothing communal about it.
Yes, it is not.
Yes,
and it served great purpose for Mumbai cricket.
Yes, that was it laid the foundation. Yeah. And then also in the 1890s, you had this individual called Lord Harris,
yes,
who was the governor of the Bombay presidency, and he played a big role in allotting land along the western seafront to the Hindus, Muslims, and Parsis to start their respective gymkhanas, which still stand on Marine Drive. The Parsi gymkhana, the Islam gymkhana, and the Hindu gymkhana. Those gymkhanas have produced generations of cricketers, many of whom played first-class cricket, some of whom played at the international level as well. And that was also the time when the inter-school tournament started, the Gail Shield and the Harris Shield. So Mumbai has had a great cricketing tradition, and Mumbai cricket is robust because the foundation of Mumbai cricket, which is club and junior level cricket, is robust.
Right. Devendra Prabhudesai, the singer, if you had to dedicate one song to Sunil Gavaskar, what would it be?
So, Mr. Sunil Gavaskar had once cut an album himself, Marathi songs, and he had sung this song, which was very popular in the 70s and early 80s. So, there's it is basically about the similarities between cricket and life, which was written by a very prominent Marathi lyricist called Shantaram Nandgaonkar. So, that the first line of the song, which Mr. Gavaskar rendered himself, was या दुनियेमध्ये थांबायला वेळ कोणाला, या दुनियेमध्ये थांबायला वेळ कोणाला, हे जीवन म्हणजे क्रिकेट राजा हुकला तो संपला, which basically means that it's a hectic world, nobody has a time, and life is like cricket in that if you give up, you're finished. And it goes on to look at the how you triumph over adversity on the field. You're surrounded by fielders and how you have to get the better of them. So that is one song that actually comes to mind when I think of Mr. Gavaskar.
Sachin Tendulkar?
Sachin Tendulkar would be, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best.
Fantastic. And Kapil Dev?
Kapil Dev, you'll have to think of a song that, any Kishore Kumar song probably, because Kishore Kumar was a versatile singer, yes, and Kapil Dev was a natural all-rounder. So any Kishore Kumar song, I think, goes for
the rhythm of the udals and the doodles.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Devendra Prabhudesai, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much. You are one of the finest recounters of Indian cricket. I hope people pick up your book. It's your labor of love, running between the wickets. And we've just covered one of your books. Please promise us that you'll come back. Cricket defined is a very definitive narrative in this country, and you're one of the finest voices in that. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you very much. And I'll come back and we will talk more about the other books as well. So thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you.